Keanan, I've had lots of conversations with Keanan over the semester about, especially this last semester, about finding data, how to use Research Rabbit. It was good, right? Right? And so, but he's done a good job. He's put together a couple of only one of a couple this year on the topic of education. Last year we had lots on education, so should be good. These are Keanan's words. He says, "I would like to thank Mr. Wade for being my rhetoric teacher and helping me with my thesis, which was tiring. I would also like to thank Ms. Reering for being my advisor and helping me with my thesis. I would like to thank God for letting me be here and letting me experience these moments. Lastly, I would like to thank family, friends, and teachers that have supported me throughout the thesis." Keanan's title is "More Than Just Numbers: The Role of Small Class Size on Teachers and Students and Teachers." Let me start over. Keanan's title is "More Than Just Numbers: The Role of Small Class Size on Teachers and Students." I will set up the timer and I'll let you know when you can start. All right, you can start whenever you're ready.
Imagine a classroom so crowded that the teachers don't even know their students' name, even to the point where they don't even know their individual learning needs. Now picture another classroom where the teacher runs around freely, offering personalized feedback, and every student is being heard. As education shapes the minds and future of our people in our society, it leads us to question, how many students should there be in a singular classroom? Since we are in the age where students need meaningful access to education. The debate over class size is a long-standing one, with parents, teachers, and researchers of terms agreeing that smaller classes has the superior learning environment. The concept of class size has been around since the late 20th century. Historically, classrooms with high student-to-teacher ratios were the usual system, especially during the Industrial Revolution, where education has become more standardized and more common towards people. In the United States, this topic about class size has been around since the 1980s, where states has begun to find ways to improve their public education outcome. For example, one of the most earliest and most influential studies was the Tennessee STAR program, where the study randomly assigned students to small or regular class sizes. The result that they found was that small classes had outperformed the regular classes. These benefits go on into the later academic years. So what is class size? Class size refers to the number of students assigned to a teacher in a given school year. How about small classes? Small classes refers to the numbers between 13 to 17 students in a singular classroom, particularly in the early grades, although some studies may have extended it to 20 students. Now, how serious is this issue that the world needs to fix it immediately? Schools should decide what class size limits they want, since it will show the effectiveness of the class with the teacher-student relationship. Since the teachers are the one who will, in the end, teach the students. Also, the school's goal is to give a quality education that is good for the students. And one of the factors of having a good quality education is depending on the class size. So by having small class size should be viewed as a foundational element of quality education. More than 20 states and the federal government have developed various policies designed to decrease class size. Most states have reduced class size in the early grades, and some have even extended to other grades as well. Some states have the government to fully fund the cost of the materials needed to build classes and put all the children into the reduced class size. Current policies on small class sizes emphasizes gradual implementation, targeted funding, and prioritizing equity, particularly in the early grade and high poverty schools. For instance, New York City, who has made a landmark law of reducing class size limits across all grades by 2028, capping kindergarten to third grade at 20 students, grade 4 to 8 at 23 students, and high school at 25 students. By the 2025 to 2026 school year, 60% classrooms citywide must meet the new size limits. With ongoing monitoring support from the Department of Education, getting there will require a historic reduction in class size over the coming year. This is why schools should implement small class sizes, due to it having more benefits than larger classes. There are three proofs on why why schools should implement small class sizes. First being the improve in students academically, which means that there are benefits and factors that help students gain academic success. Second, it develops a deeper emotional and spiritual development for the students. And third, not only will it benefit the students, but also benefit the teachers as well, making them more productive and more efficient in their work. Now let's go on to my first proof on why schools should reduce class size. It's because that students are able to improve academically. Reducing class size helps students academically in three significant ways. The first being the increase in individual attention when small class sizes are implemented in school. A study done by this where they observed 16 small classes with 25 students or under and 26 large classes with over 31 students. They found that the focus on teacher attention was about 7% in smaller classes compared to large classes that had 3%. This evidence shows that smaller class sizes enhance students' academic performance by increasing the amount and quality of individual attention they receive. In summary, students in smaller classes receive more than double the individual attention rather than large classes. Studies from the DIS project reveals that teachers in smaller classes are able to offer more time to teach students individually, making them understand the materials given. In summary, these findings support the conclusion that reducing class sizes plays an important role in improving students' academic success. Now, as students receive more individual attention in smaller classes, this support from teachers enhances their understanding of the material, directly contributing to improved performances from students on their tests. A study done by Jeremy Diffin and Charles M. Achilles, who contributed in the Tennessee STAR program, found that students in smaller classes, which measured up about to 13 to 17 students, scored 5.2% higher in mathematics and over 10% higher in reading compared to those in large classes, which measured up to 22 to 25 students. The data from the Tennessee STAR project reveals that smaller class sizes creates a more achievable environment for academic success, with students in small class sizes performing significantly better on tests. Ultimately, this evidence shows statistical proof in which students are able to get better results in tests, resulting in improvement in students academically. With the increase in individual attention and students doing better in tests, this makes small class sizes be more beneficial, especially in the early grades, due to the long-term benefits they will gain. Tennessee STAR project, STAR, a landmark randomized experiment involving over 12,000 students, found that reducing class size to 13 to 17 students in grades K3 led to a significant academic gains. With students in small classes outperforming their peers in larger classes, they have found with small class students, they are 2% more likely to go to college and less likely to drop out. In summary, this evidence shows that small class size will be a benefit towards early grade students, with the evidence saying that they will be more likely to go to college. So this goes to show that small class sizes will gain benefits from getting small class sizes in the early grades, which then will help them academically. Now let's go on to my second proof, which is the benefits of small class sizes extend beyond academic improvement. It also develops a deeper emotional and spiritual development. Smaller class sizes significantly improve teachers' ability to mentor the students more personally. Research done by the Institute of Education in the UK has found that students in small classes have nearly 50% more one-on-one interactions with their teachers compared to those in larger classes. Additionally, students receive more positive and immediate feedback. For example, at Roy Nelson's Classical Christian Academy, where they commit to using small class sizes to understand their students in their Christian elementary school, they believe that the teachers tailor their methods to suit each student, thus making the teachers know the strengths and weaknesses of each student. This shows that by enabling more personal interaction, smaller classes help create a more comfortable setting for the students. Especially when teachers become more personal with students, they are able to recognize the unique emotional and spiritual needs of each student. This is one of the factors that benefits students to become better emotionally and spiritually. If having teachers be more personal towards students leads to students having a stronger relationship with teachers. A study published in the Emerald Insight Journal found that teacher supportiveness was significantly higher in smaller classes. A regression model about teacher supportiveness indicated that there is a strong positive relationship between smaller class sizes and perceived teacher supportiveness. This suggests that teachers in small classes are more likely to support students, thereby strengthening the teacher-student relationship. This evidence shows that the small class sizes contribute to stronger teacher-student relationships, which are essential for emotional and spiritual development. The study from Emerald Insight reveals that teachers in smaller classes offer more support, making a positive environment for students to feel emotionally secure and valued. Thus, having stronger relationship with students led to students being emotionally better, to being better emotionally and spiritually. With teachers having a stronger relationship with students and more personal, it makes students have a comfortable environment in school. Thus, having students generally enjoy school more. Researchers in their studies thought of the importance of monitoring the satisfaction of a student and believed that it could impact the outcomes of the success gained by the student. It has been discovered that the satisfaction level of a student in the large classes is lower by 12.7% than those in small classes. Even the evidence shows that small classes have a larger impact on students in having the enjoyment of learning or even going to school. This evidence shows that with the small classes, students are able to better themselves emotionally since they are being more motivated to go to school due to the comfortable settings in school and being able to connect with other classmates more efficiently. So if the evidence says that there are a lot more students enjoying school when they have small class sizes, why can't schools just have small class sizes instead of taking risks by having large classes? This leads to my third proof where small class size will not only benefit the students academically and emotionally and spiritually, but as well for teachers. Teachers are able to work more efficiently and productively when schools implement small class sizes, thus benefiting teachers as well when they have small classes. Teachers will have the ability to monitor students significantly easier and efficiently when they have small classes. A large-scale study in the United Kingdom where researchers randomly selected 11,386 students and followed them from the age of 4 to 7. And the teachers were also surveyed about how they spent classroom time. They found that students in small classes were twice as likely to stay on task and receive more individualized attention from teachers, while teachers in larger classes spent less time on instruction and feedback. This evidence not only shows that teachers are able to monitor small class sizes significantly easier, but also shows that students being more attentive in classes makes it significantly more efficient for teachers to monitor students. So small class sizes not only affect students positively, but also help the teachers to do their job more efficiently, thus showing that small class size gives benefits for teachers as well. It's like killing two birds with one stone. So the fact that the teachers are able to monitor the students a lot easier in a smaller class size and environment, with that in mind, teachers are able to shape the behavior of their students who they teach. A study done by Blatchford, Edmonds, and Martin observed that in smaller classes, which averages 19 students per class, teachers have fewer discipline problems than large classes, since there are more personal relationships and interactions in small class environments, due to teachers being able to prevent negative behaviors issued before students start to develop it. So by having personal relationships with students in small class sizes, makes teachers shape students' behavior a lot better. This evidence shows that the power of having small class size benefits teachers a lot for the behavior of the students, especially children who aren't mature yet or still at a young age. Teachers are able to shape their behavior at a young age. Like a teacher in a high school with small class size, Joshua Owens, blogged that he had students who are naughty and always do unnecessary things. But because he was close with the students, due to the impact of small class size, Joshua Owens was able to tell about the consequences of their action. So if a teacher needs to check homework of about 30 to 40 students, or even 50, it would give the teacher some kind of mental breakdown with the amount of workload they're having. Thus, having smaller class size will reduce the workload of teachers, also making teachers have less stress. A study done in public schools in Rivers State, Nigeria, has found that there are significant effects of teachers' workload on students' achievement. Their results found that in large class sizes, teachers tend to have more workload, which reduces in the students' academic performance. And also, they found that there is a positive improvement of about 12.1% between class size and teachers' workload on students' academic performance. This evidence shows that the larger the class size is, the more workload teachers have that can affect students as well. So this evidence shows that the larger the class size is, so smaller class size gives less workload, leading to less stress for the teacher and also benefits students as well. Now, some people might complain that the cost of having small class size is too much than having a large class size. Yes, it may be true that the cost of having a small class size will be expensive, but this view fails to consider the long-term economic and education benefits that outweigh the initial cost. For instance, one study found that reducing class size in early grades can generate a net cost of approximately $168,000 per additional high school graduate when considering societal benefits such as improved health and higher lifetime earnings. When targeted to low-income students, these savings increase even further, making small class size not only an investment in education quality, but also a cost-effective public policy compared to many other interventions. This leads to some people wondering and believing that the teaching quality is more impactful than having a small class size. It may be true that the quality of the teacher teaching is more impactful than just a simple class size, but it does not mean that having a good teaching quality bans us from having a small class size reduction, which has a lot of benefits as well. For example, teachers are also able to gain benefits from having small class sizes. A study done by Students' Teacher Achievement Ratio, or STAR, has found that students in small class sizes that were 7 to 8 students smaller than the average class size outperformed the students in a regular class size by 0.22 standard deviations after 4 years, which means that the students perform about 3% better for every one student less in class. Those studies showed that the quality of teaching will improve over time with teaching practices as well. This shows that schools can have both teacher quality and small class sizes, which gives a lot more advantages than just having an increase in teachers' quality. Now, throughout this thesis, we have talked about why schools should implement small class sizes, from the benefits towards the students to the range of benefits that doesn't only reach the students, but reach the teachers as well. A quote by John Dewey, who is an American philosopher, psychologist, and educational reformer, once said that the teacher is not there to impose certain ideas or certain habits that will affect their child, but is there as a member of the community to select those influences that will affect their child and help them respond to those selected influences. This quote by John Dewey shows the importance of individualized attention towards the children, which may be impossible to do when you have an overcrowded classroom. So by having small class sizes, this quote by John Dewey will be much more possible to do, due to the fact that the amount of students in a small class size will make it more effective for teachers to give each single student individualized attention. Now, we as civilians of this world, what should we do to make schools aware about the effectiveness of small class sizes? Well, even though the most impactful person about this topic is the school alone, we can't directly talk to them without any support. So what should we do? One way is through digital technology. As we have seen that digital technology has been modernized over the years, especially social media platforms, we are able to give the information of the effectiveness of small class size through social media platforms like Instagram, X, Facebook, and many others. And even if it goes viral, not only will it reach the school, but also reach professors, researchers, and many more that will research about small class sizes. So what I'm saying that small class size is just it's not just a strategy, but also a statement where every student is being heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Keanan. Good job. Our panelists today are Mr. JC and Ms. Johan. Ms. Johan, would you like to go first?
Yeah, thank you, Wade. Congratulations, you've finished. I honestly glad that a student brought this up because you're a part of the faculty, but you're also the one who's been experiencing the whole thing about this class size and stuff. So I'm glad it's a student of CBCS actually brought this topic up. But my first question would be, and also the first thing that came to my mind when I read it is, I wonder what made you choose this topic? What drives you? What motivates you?
Thank you for the question. The thing that makes me choose this topic is because I've seen, like in BPK, where they have more students than CBCS. It shows like the effectiveness of how the teachers like responds to the students compared to students in CBCS, which may be more personal with teachers, especially teachers that are sorry but fun. So that's why I choose this topic.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I mean, personal experience is a good motivation, right? And then I read the research. I mean, you've mentioned a lot of research about I won't call it experiment, maybe a try in schools in USA having small size classes. I was wondering if you found like a specific. Oh, yeah, sorry. Let me brought this up first. So the definition of a small class is the class size should be 25 students or under 25. Is that the one that you mentioned?
It's 13 to 17 or
13 to 17.
maybe 20 students, but
Oh.
it can vary to the studies that they've researched.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I was wondering if is there any specific numbers per grade level or per department? Because I think I heard you mentioning younger students probably need smaller size classes so that the teachers can be more on. I mean, like one-on-one with the students and maybe detect early learning difficulties. Perhaps is there any specific number on certain maybe early childhood should have like this number of students in a class size, elementary and stuff?
Thank you for the question. To be honest, there's no like specific number, but the younger the students are, the less the less amount of students should be in the class size, because the younger the students are, the ability for teachers to like instruct the students and having a good behavior is better in the younger age than larger classes and larger than older students, since older students are getting ready for college as well, right? So as time goes on, students who are becoming older needs more personal interaction with other people as well, right? So the more older you get, the more the amount of students increase in the class.
So you can have an increased number of students in a class the older the students get.
Yeah.
Now, if let's say, according to your opinion and the research that you have done, what number would you propose for each grade level? Let's say like what we have in CBCS, early childhood, grammar, SOL, SOR, more or less.
I mean, especially in the thesis, where the policy made by the US, like by the 2028 reducing class size, from kindergarten to grade 3 at 20, and grade 4 to 8 at 23 students, and high school at 25 students.
How about you? Would you agree with that?
Yes, but I mean, the last amount of students in a class can have more benefits, but for the specific, I would believe this is the
right number.
the standard. Yeah.
Okay. All right. My last question. So I think in every country, every country's leaders would consider education is important for their younger generation. Now, our country, and I think USA, to have a large number of children. Now, I was wondering, in your opinion, how do you balance having a small class size, which will improve the quality of the students, of the children, and having a large number of people in a country? Is there any solution to that? Like, how can we still have a school with small size classes and still having education for everyone in a country?
Thank you for the question. What I mean by small class sizes doesn't necessarily ban schools from accepting applicants. So it can. So what I mean is that it will balance no matter what, since schools will still accept applicants, but the problem is the classes. Now with more classes, we need more money, right? And nobody wants like lowering teacher salary or higher tuition. Nobody wants that, right? So one of the solutions can be through donators or investors that will invest to our schools to build more classes, or, for example, sister schools, where we work together with another school to work on this reduced class size.
So yeah, money would be a problem, and then the solution is to get the money from somewhere else instead of only from the parents.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Wade.
All right, thank you, Mr. JC.
Hi, Keanan. Thank you so much for presenting this. Actually, in general, I think I mentioned this to you already a few days ago, that I think you're in a safe zone because most teachers will opt the thing that you propose actually. So sometimes I think that why my student, Keanan, he is bringing up things that it seems that he's very empathical on us, the teachers, Like sometimes I think also, what about in the perspective of the students here? In the sense that, well, you're talking about this is actually part of the themes of the sociology of education, right? I mean, about the class size and everything, social interactions, group size and everything. So standing on the shoes of students, what if, how do you think do you think that students will be satisfied with this idea of having smaller classes, especially with the assumption that when you have smaller classes, it means that the supervision from the teacher is getting more. It's more intense. In some way, it will be more intense or more sufficient, maybe in a good way. Yeah, but perhaps for some students, especially for older students, this is not really a good idea, not necessarily a good idea, because certain students who are relatively older might think that they need more freedom, they need less supervision. For example, like in class meetings, they would like to, when teachers are explaining, they would like to just play games a little bit with solitaire and everything. And then when you have smaller classes, your viability to do that is getting less. Have you ever thought about the perspective of the students, since you yourself are a student?
Thank you for the question. Yes, I agree that students may disagree with this because the teachers are being more strict. But
Not
yeah, basically more like
Supervising.
supervised, right? So students playing games, I can't say anything about it because even if it is more even if it gets more intense in the supervision, does not mean we can't play games during classes. So, but what I'm saying is that even though some students may disagree, it may benefit them for the future later with what I'm saying with the long-term benefits in the proofs. So, yeah.
Okay. So for this time, let's just ignore the students' complaints about it, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. And then another thing. Now zooming out. That was zooming in. Yeah. Now zooming out. What about the compatibility of your idea, your proposition about smaller classes? Yeah. In relation to we have talked about this much in sociology, because about industrialization and democratization of society. Since when we have larger class, I mean, especially when dealing with beginning the modern times, we learned about the history of education a little bit in the beginning of modern times, that people, the industrialization process of education started. It seemed to be inevitable, especially for marginal people, for lower class people. The idea of mandatory education laws by, I think, from American father of education, Horace Mann, and somehow it diffused also to Indonesia. So everybody should get the education. Education is compulsory for everybody, and thereby it's inevitable. It seems inevitable that you will have bigger classes. How do you think that your idea like this is compatible with this situation? Because perhaps certain people, maybe other people, maybe it's not me, yeah? I agree with you, of course, but certain other people might disagree, saying that maybe what you propose here sociologically is somewhat bourgeoisie. It seems to be like just for those people who can afford, best quality education with, let's say, higher tuition fee. How do you respond to disagreement like this, especially when you have to bring this topic to other people?
Thank you for the question. Especially for the higher tuition, like even in schools that are having lower tuition, especially like we can see in CBCS where teachers get training. We are like schools in like remote areas are able to get teachers training, even with poor with low tuition. So the quality education does not mean that it depends on the tuition if it is high or not, but it actually depends on how the teachers train and how the teachers are able to give the quality education towards the children.
One more question, maybe. Yeah, thank you, Keanan, for the answer so far. Now, you had the quote from John Dewey. My question, why is it John Dewey? Or in relation to what we have here in classical, we are in classical school, classical Christian school. Do you think that classical Christian education setting so far, do you think it makes it viable for the smaller class to exist? As I know that John Dewey proposed also a lot of things about, the importance of interactions in class, right? And everything. And as a matter of fact, John Dewey disagreed a lot with traditional classical Christian education. Maybe you could explain both of them. Why John Dewey? And then do you think that classical Christian school has this ability to provide the idea of the small classes for the students?
Thank you for the question. But can I clarify for the first one? For the first question, are you asking why I chose John Dewey? The reason why I chose John Dewey because I was, it was a quote.
Sorry, because I think classical educators also will believe in that also the same thing. I'm just wondering why didn't you choose other classical educators or reformers like, I don't know, maybe Mortimer Adler or somebody else? Go ahead.
To be honest, that was the first one that popped up in Google. So I picked John Dewey, and when I saw the quote, it connects with what I was trying to say at the first proof about the increase in individual attention. And for classic Christian education, are we talking about CBCS?
Yes.
I think for CBCS, it has the ability to these small class sizes, to have these small class sizes, especially now where CBCS has small class sizes. But when the boards want more classes and want more like students in classes, it makes them have the ability to think first before they act. So yeah, that's how I would respond to your question.
Okay. Good job, Keanan. I have a couple of questions. First of all, I have one from me and some that kind of come from your peers. In the world of, a lot of your studies dealt with sort of public school settings and that sort of thing. In the world of classical education, where we really we focus on the upper school students to be able to think deeply and critically and to be able to communicate like we're doing here. There have been a few classical educators who say, really, it's not, we shouldn't have bigger classes in the high school classes. We should actually go to smaller classes. So we have small discussions every day. And so actually, instead of saying we should have slightly bigger classes in the higher grades, some classical educators say the opposite, that it actually helps our upper school students to have better abilities to think deeply if we have smaller class sizes, even smaller than the grammar school in the high school. What do you think about that?
Thank you for your question. To answer your question, I believe that I agree with what you said, but high school students need to prepare for college and workplace, right? The workforce. So they need to get more connections and more relationship with others to have those work environment later in the future. And we're not increasing the class size to the point where these benefits doesn't exist. So yeah, that's the answer.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And so I think that I saw in one of your sources that's a particularly old source that they did a study, I don't remember who this was, someone did a study and they determined that if you really want optimal class size, it should be like, something ridiculous like 1 or 2 or 3 students per teacher, right? Isn't there a study like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it almost seems like, and this kind of goes to one of your peers' questions, if this is really if we want to do it the best way, shouldn't you be advocating for something like homeschooling or individual tutors or something like that? Isn't that what you should be advocating for?
What I'm talking about in my thesis is about school. Maybe it's true that what the source says is 1 to 2 students, but that's tutoring or basically giving lessons, not school alone. Where school basically has a minimum amount of students to be considered as a school, right? So yeah.
Okay, good. And so what about this though? What if I said maybe we do this? We have huge class sizes where a teacher does some lecturing and that sort of thing for half the day. And then the second half of the day is like small groups, 2 or 3 individuals, and you tutor the students, and it's more like tutoring through the rest of the day. Do you think that might work? I know this is not what you studied, but what do you think, just opinion-wise?
I think that it may work in some situations, but I think when you're lecturing and giving information in a big classroom, a big class size, the students won't really understand. Like they have immediate questions that will be forgotten later at half of the day when they break out into small groups. So they won't really understand the material well when having a big classroom.
Okay, good. And, here's another thought that someone came up with here is maybe that's great for a good teacher who is also a good person and who can really mentor students both in a academic and spiritual way. But what if you have a teacher who's not a good person and their influence is really not a good influence? Wouldn't you want them not to have a small class size where they would be such a heavy influence?
Thank you for the question. To respond to that is that schools should see what kind of teacher they are, right? And especially like CBCS, where they have training for teachers, they are able to train teachers to the point where they influence good things instead of bad things to the students.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Time's up. Good job, Keanan. All right. Yeah, great job, Keanan. We're going to meet with friends and family over here, panelists and advisor, and for photos. And then we will start again in only about 7 minutes for Kayla's. 7 minutes.